All right, we're live. What's up, guys? John Sentes here, Cutternation Podcast 83, Cass Kreitlow, my partner. We are live on YouTube and Instagram. You can check us out there if you aren't sure. We also will repost this on the Apple Podcast app. But please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe for this podcast. It's been growing nicely. I appreciate everybody's questions and comments and the subscribers. We can see the numbers are going up. So we're trying to get some gangbusters on this podcast like Scott Lacey, our guy. So without further ado, Scott Lacey, pitching coach / pitching artist extraordinaire.
Wow, that's an intro, man. Thank you. I like that I got episode number 83 because, that's how hard I threw. So it's very, very fitting and apropos. But no, thanks guys for having me, man. I'm pumped.
It's Wes Welker's episode.
Yeah, we can go. That's better, Wes. And I bet he probably threw harder than me. So that we can go with that. That works for me too.
Dude, that dude, little fast guys.
Yeah, he was a dude. I mean, he probably had 20 concussions. So, but hey, he made his money. He's a good player. So that's awesome. But yeah, man, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Definitely. So you and I met in Nashville in the Hit Tracks booth. We were sitting there, and all of a sudden, we had a small conversation, and then it was like, okay, I need to handle some things. I'll be right back because we need to communicate more because we were both asking some questions. So why don't you let everybody know who you are, where you're at, what you're doing?
Yeah, so I am the pitching coach at Southwestern University. It's a D3 in Georgetown, Texas. But my full-time job is as a pitching instructor, I guess you could call it, at True Grind Systems. It's a training gym in North Austin. We mostly, during the pro season, we mostly cater to high school and college athletes, but during the off season, we'll also work with pro guys as well. And mainly the focus is if we can get them to move better, clean up some deficiencies, and then figure out, what their strengths are, then it's, all right, let's build a program. Let's build you up to maximize your strengths and to give yourself the best chance to go out and, be successful, but also make adjustments when things aren't going well.
That's great. Yeah. So it has to be a pleasure for your players. How did the season start for you guys over at Southwestern?
The first game of the year was a little rough. We, started a senior starter that's been a dude, and, he gets injured 4 pitches into the game. And in fact, it was probably my fault because I told the bullpen right before the game, I was like, listen, kind of get moving, but this guy generally goes 7 to 9. So you don't really have to be ready to pitch. And then we had to go to a reliever 4 batters into the game. So that was a little, that was a little trying, but it started to work out well because our best arms are starting to get back in shape. The 2 best arms we had, one guy, topped out at 100 and, was pounding the zone, started to get back into his rhythm, which was great. And we had a couple relievers that really had come a long way. And so we were pretty excited to get the year going. And, we had guys playing new positions. So it was right at the time where everything was starting to click. We started to see some success. We were pumped. We're like, all right, this is about to, we're about to start conference. This is about to take off. We're going to be in a really good place. And then, everything got shut down. So it was kind of a bummer because we were just starting to get hot and it was starting to look like, all right, we're about to be pretty good. But yeah, we had some guys really step up, some young guys figure it out. And we were really looking forward to breaking 3 or 4 school records this year. So it was kind of tough when everything got banged.
Who's in your conference?
Did you just slip in a casual guy throwing 100? Did that just happen? Just a casual 100 in a D3 school?
Yeah, you gotta throw that in there occasionally. He was our Friday night guy the last 2 years. He was our conference pitcher of the year the previous year. I pitched in the Northwoods, and in the prospect game in the Northwoods hit, I think it was 96, and then he for the whole year this year was 95 to 98. It's just one of those guys. It's just he didn't pitch in high school, and the first practice I show up to on campus, my first day like as a coach there, and he was a third baseman, and the coach was telling me like, yeah, we don't really have too many arms right now. We have no POs. And I was like, all right. And then I watched him throw across the diamond. I was like, why is he at third base? Like, he better be able to hit out of his mind because that is a cannon. I was like, that's 85, 86 across the diamond. And he goes, oh, no, he'll close for us. And then, he just kind of grew. And, yeah, he topped out at 100. And, like, he threw a pen a week or two ago where he told me, he's like, yeah, I casually sat 95. I was like, oh, that's fun. So
can we go into this process on this human? Because if you saw the genesis of this guy, can I get a time frame? Can we go into a little bit more detail on what you can talk about? Because sure. These stories I feel like are the ones that anecdotally can shine some educational light for people like me and other people that look for correlations and trends inside of these. Because there's so many of them, you know what I mean?
Right,
and so a lot of them are different, but also there's a lot of them that are the same, right? So can we get a little history on the athlete before you see him 85 across the diamond?
Yeah, so he was a third baseman in high school. He happened to go to a school that had a ton of pitching. So they had multiple D1 arms. When he was a sophomore, Paddock was there. The next year they had, I think, Cole Quintanilla, who went to Texas. They had 2 or 3 other guys. So he never pitched. He was a third baseman. And there was a guy in the area that did recruiting that went to a practice at his high school and sees him throwing. And he's like, does that kid pitch? And he goes, no. He's like, he needs to. He's got the best arm. Like, that's the best arm action. And so his senior year, I mean, he didn't pitch really until the playoffs. And he was, 85, 88, but just, electric. Like, you could just see it like, man, there's something there. We get him on campus. He played third the whole year. So he would, game 1 and game 2, play third base. And then game 3, we'd pitch him. Our first year there as a staff was his freshman year. And to say we were bad is that's very disrespectful to bad teams. We were awful. So our best chance to win a game in the series was pitching him in game 3 because it was like, all right, we're going to line him up against their game 3 guy. If we can somehow manage to hit a baseball more than twice, we can probably, scrap together a few runs. We were better as a team when we didn't swing the bat. We led the nation in strikeouts and we led the nation in walks as an offensive team. Just to give you a reference point. So if we didn't swing, we had a better chance of getting on base. So he would pitch, game 3, and he was good.
By the way, there's, for the people that don't know, like real baseball players, or if you haven't understood this yet, our ability to completely destroy a situation in words on negativity is always the best because we can find.
Dude, yesterday, who did we have on yesterday? I don't know what day it is anymore.
Sam DiMatteo.
Yeah, yeah, he was just destroying his team. He's like, they were so bad. And I'm like, I mean, I've been on them, but it's like the coaches I've been with, I've always been so careful to be like, oh yeah. But we tried. I mean, Sam even said it. God, they tried so hard. You know what I mean? It's like,
hey, that's a great podcast question because everybody's been on that team, right? We're just like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. And the funny part is you try to be as kind about it as you can because it's not like the kids didn't. It wasn't for lack of trying. They tried their absolute hardest. It was just the way recruiting went, the way their head coach got hired, pretty much it was a perfect storm where we had no talent left on the roster. I think we had 7 POs to start the year. And our best pitcher, the actual PO couldn't start the season. He didn't pitch until a month in because over the winter break, he's throwing with his best friend who, pitched at A&M, and somehow it tipped off his glove and broke his ocular bone. So we don't even have our best arm.
Of course, he's trying to do the right thing, stay in shape, be ready, and then
and what sucks is like this is the guy that like always works hard, always does the right thing, yes sir, no sir, like grind.
Usually catches the ball.
Like it's just tough. So we were really bad. So it gave him a lot of opportunities to just get on the mound and just kind of figure it out. And for him, a lot of it was learn on the fly. And that year, our pitching coach we had about 3 weeks into the season, we're on a road trip coming back home. He takes a phone call, and he sends a message in the coaches group chat and says, like, hey guys, I just got an offer from the Cubs to be a roving pitching instructor. I leave tomorrow. And so we get off the bus. Our head coach turns and looks at me and says, all right, you got 2 weeks to show me you can be a pitching coach. Like, go with this kid and like show me what you can do. I was like, oh, all right. And we're playing the #1 team in the nation that week. So it's like, all right, well, let's see what we got. And he ended up throwing pretty well. So it was, that year was good for him just because he was able to get his feet wet as a pitcher. That summer he went and pitched in the Jayhawk League in Kansas. And
what team is he on?
Had him as a reliever. And so he's got a chance. His freshman year, he was 86, 89, would grab a few 90s occasionally. But he's 6'4", 160 pounds. So, a stiff breeze blew him over on the mound. And so going into a sophomore year, like, all right, man, you need to crush the weight room. We need to crush the weighted ball programming, and just let it eat and see what you can do. And, he really cemented himself his sophomore year as just a dude. And he came out, first game of the year, touched 94 and struck out 18 and went CG. And it was like, man, okay, cool. We got our guy. Like that's awesome. And, I think he put on about 25 pounds that off season. Just weighted ball programming, crushed it. Long toss, crushed it. Did everything he needed to do. And then last summer, after his sophomore year, goes to the Northwoods, throws all right. Like,
what team?
He had a 3 ERA, and he was with Duluth. And, he did good. He was the only D3 guy on their roster. He held his own, and he's like, yeah, I don't get the cheap swings and misses that I get, at D3s. Like, I can't just pump a 2-0 heater by a guy. Like, I have to pitch. But he's like, it's also easier to pitch because my breaking stuff means more now. Like, I can't just rely on fastball. So I had to learn how to pitch, which that was huge for him last summer. And funny enough, he was 92, 94 in the Northwoods, and he, was kind of getting close to his innings limit. So we gave him about 4 weeks off, and we're starting to get him back on ramping. And his first bullpen back after taking some time off to get ready for their showcase game, I go in thinking, all right, he's going to be, 88, 92, like not throwing hard. It wasn't going to be a high intent day or anything. And the first pitch he throws is 95. And I'm watching it going like, all right, this is fuzz. I'm like, hey man, how you feeling? He's like, yeah, I feel good today. It's coming out good. I'm like, what would you say, 91? He's like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, all right, well, that was 95. And he was like, all right. And so he starts to get going, and it's 95, 97, 97, 98, 98, 99, 99, 100, 98, 98. All right, we'll call the bullpen. And it's just a thing where, he's got an electric arm. Like, just naturally, he moves extremely well. His only cue he's ever had when playing in the infield was get the ball and throw it as hard as I can to first base. And so he would just throw, if you give a golf analogy, he would just throw low stingers across the diamond, trying to keep it on the deck and, backspin the piss out of it. And so when he gets on the mound, that's kind of his cue, is just like, all right, I'm just going to backspin it to the catcher's mitt and, just cut it loose. So, for him, it was an interesting because he put on weight, the strength definitely helped. He didn't like the weight room at first. He wasn't accustomed to it. But long tossing, like, I mean, he'll go and in pregame, he'll go foul pole to foul pole, and it's just like, it's all right, let me get ready to pitch. And you're just like, well, okay, that's not normal. So we knew pretty quickly we had a really good arm. But to where he developed to, like, I knew he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be that good, right?
Well, it sounds to me like the process was years, right? Could you what do you think the time frame was from genesis of this idea to 100?
Probably, I don't know, about 2 years, give or take, I would say.
And are you saying constant throwing? Constant?
Oh yeah, constant. Like, he's throwing. We throw just about 6 days a week. 2 high intent days, 2 bullpen days, it took about 2 years of that. And once he got into that, man, it truly got to be something special.
So
with that, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to get the schedule down, because that's where I find a lot of there's a lot of truth. Yeah. There's a lot of truth in the programming and the schedule, right? So 2 high intent days, those are 2 high intent plyo days. Is that, or what is that day?
Gotcha. So it's really dependent on, sorry, I'm trying to get set in my house real quick. It's really dependent on what phase we're in, but generally we try to use those days as either plyo velo, so we're testing out the plyo care throws, or pull downs, or mound velo, where we're going off mound and trying to let it eat. And so we'll go like, Friday, or let's go Monday, light intent, not trying to go too hard. We're just trying to long toss it. And then, Tuesday will be a nice, easy recovery day. Wednesday, we'll give them off. Thursday, all right, let's go higher intent. Let's let it eat, and let's just let the ball fly. And, it's really dependent. If we're getting close to the season, we're going to want to use that training economy for getting on the mound and working on pitches and throwing a bullpen. If we're, deep in the off season, okay, well then now we're going to do more velo building. So whether it'll be pull downs, plyo care, or, just like a heavy intent long toss day with, some pull downs at the very, very end. It's just kind of all dependent on where they're at in their training phase, like in their season, essentially.
I think it's crazy that a college coach for 2 years straight is programming for a guy that goes from 85 to 100 because of the dedication of that. And, in the private sector, it shouldn't be a problem. But you see all the time as when multiple coaches become involved, there's massive amounts of miscommunication or lack of communication, or opinions, philosophies crossing. You being both, right? You being a both. Do you have any examples of some stuff that you've dealt with of being a private coach and a college coach that you find valuable?
And I want you to talk about the D3 schedule, because that was my world, and that's different.
Yeah, the D3 schedule is awful, but stuff from the private world that goes into ours, like that goes into the school side, is just being able to watch a bullpen and go, okay, cool, this is what we're working on, this is the focus for today. But then also all of the cues you're able to do with plyo care. Like, we're not, as coaches, we're not allowed to be there for most of the fall. Like, we get 4 weeks with them. So we have to optimize those 4 weeks to teach them how to move and really break down, like, okay, these are the patterns you need to hit the most. In plyos, this is, the 4 or 5 drills that you need to absolutely crush in order to make the most of that time. Because I'm not going to be there. Like, I can't, NCAA rules state I can't go watch you pitch. I can't be there when you're throwing. So the hardest part of the job is taking, those little cues, the stuff you can do every day, and like I see when you work in, John, it's like you cue guys when they're throwing and you make adjustments in the moment. Well, you're not really given that liberty. If I can't see him every day, I can't do it. I can watch a video and be like, okay, yeah, do this, do that. So it's those 4 weeks. It's so important that I can spend every minute with them so I can get those patterns set in, know what they're trying to feel, and then just have the best idea for, okay, this is what I need to do to be successful. And that's really the hardest part about it. And, to go with the scheduling, man, I mean, 4 weeks, if you think about it, D1s get, I think it's like 17 hours a week where they're able to do private one-on-one stuff with their pitchers and with their hitters. Man, if you gave me that every week, oh God, that'd be amazing. I would go nuts.
I mean, I don't think there should be any restrictions. I think it's absolute bullshit. I'm going out on a limb and saying this, like, when you talk to NAI guys that have the freedom to do whatever they want,
oh yeah,
they don't do crazy shit. They do things that are healthy. Like, I was talking to San Diego Christian guy, and he's like, yeah, the first 2-3 weeks of school, we're not practicing. You kidding me? Those kids don't know what the hell is up, down, left, right. They have no idea what's going on. Right?
No,
and for my returners, like, dude, they get to come back and they get to get their shit in order. And so, like, and then you at the D3 level, especially I'm from Minnesota,
right?
We're like, it's winter is coming, right? Like, we gotta get the hell out of the field now. And then we were sharing this. We're sharing the field with the St. Paul Saints Independent League team and the American Association, right? Like, what D3, how many D3 teams have their own field and just get to hang out? I bet it's a lot more common with you guys, but. Anyway, there's kind of my 2 cents on the whole thing, because I just think this. I think the NCAA, all the restrictions, it's just everybody's gonna find all the loopholes, so you might as well let it police itself. And if you're a program that just beats your kids into the ground, people aren't gonna go to your program. It's common sense,
right? And so the thing I don't get is, like, if you're being honest, D3 guys need more work than everyone else. Like that's the truth. Like they do. There's we have a phrase. There's a reason you're at D3. Like, it's there. Whatever reason it is
I hate that phrase, but I get it, Scott. I'll let it slide.
Listen, man, I hate it too.
That's almost as bad as the D2. I chose D2. Like, I remember they came around and put cameras in our faces and like, I chose D2. We were like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Our head coach goes, when we do like the player shots, right? Like their face shots for the website for the programs, they put like a backdrop that says, like, Southwestern and then D3. It's like checkered, right? Like you would see like on any interview for like a big league team. And he purposely tells the people taking the picture that he's like, hey, listen, like, you need to set it up to where I can't see D3 in any part of it. And they're like, why? He's like, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want people to look at that and go, oh, D3. Like, I just want people to look at it and say, oh, Southwestern. And it's funny on how that works. But, like, dude, you're there. Why are we giving these guys more time? Like it's not hard. Like, what these kids obviously are.
I want to share one thing, because I'll tee it up and then I'll let you run with it. So we had Amanda Aguirre Allen on, and she was a part of a couple NCAA championships with UCLA softball, and she played. I don't remember what the sport was, but so she won her championships, and then she went and got her master's and ended up becoming a lawyer. But in her master's program, she also took on another sport, another Division I sport during law school, because she knew that it was going to make her more organized. And so if you can, this isn't for everybody. I'm not saying whittle your life down to 3 things, but there are so many athletes that would be willing to be a student athlete, and that's it. If they were allowed to be, right? And right. Like, I just feel like this is, I think there's so much more room for college coaches to have a huge impact on these kids' lives. because nobody else is at this time. You know, it's
Right.
not like they're like, I mean, I went to a small college. I went to a liberal arts college, and it's not like I'm like, man, I can't wait to hang out with my advisor.
Right.
But
Right.
like I'll chill with my head coach, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll hang out with that
Or your
dude, and I'll hang
squad,
out
yeah,
with-
your boys, yeah. That's a good
Right.
point. That's a good point. I think that is, dude, you hit the nail on the head, because like
I
if
think the
you could,
NCAA is missing the opportunity to have a huge impact on people, and that's what
Yeah.
it's like their mission statement.
Oh yeah. Well,
because that's what you're doing at that age anyway. If you're in college, if you're you're
Right.
with everybody anyway, so why not make it a real, available option? It's a better,
Yeah.
dude. It's safer.
Captain's practice.
Yeah, right.
Like I went to an NAIA, and so I mean back then it was the Wild West. Like you could do whatever. Our head coach was like, "Hey,
who's getting dipped?"
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, the facility, you have a key to it. So if you want to go in and hit indoors, you can. If you want to go hit on the field at night, you can." Like, and he would say it like he's like, "Listen, there's nothing to do here. Like the literal name of the town is Plainview. Like there's nothing for 40 minutes in any direction." Right. He's like, so really the only thing you can do is like study and like practice baseball. So you might as well. So like, I know we would go in at nights and we'd have to fight with Puerto Ricans because they would stay there from 8 o'clock until 1 a.m. just hitting off the machine. They would just set the machine up and take 600 hacks. And that's all we did was we went and practiced baseball, and we weren't doing anything wrong. Like we were in a good environment. We were with good people. We were learning. Like you're in an environment, and our assistant coaches would roll in and hang out, and they're just, shooting the breeze, chilling, watching. Occasionally, if somebody asks something like, "Hey, feel this or do this," but other than that, like you're just hanging out with people who are really good players. And it's like, okay, well, if we take that away, what are these kids going to do? They're going to find something to do. Like you're going to find something to fill the void. So why not have them learn the skill, get disciplined at the skill with the people who are trying to teach them the skill?
And all it does, in my experience, is create such a challenge for the coaches to be the things that they can be, because now, I know that transparency is a huge thing in coaching. And when how many games do you play by though? You're talking, your schedule sounds a little bit different.
Ours is 40 games, and then we'll have the conference tournament and then regionals and after that. But it's 40 games.
How many teams are in your conference?
8, I believe, 7 or 8.
Because you were talking, okay, yeah. Because I think we had 11 or 12, so that's why we were playing double headers. And you're talking about 3-game series. We never had 3-game series.
Yeah, we'll do like one Friday, and then double dip Saturday. If we have the option, we'll do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, who's in your conference? I wonder if I recognize.
Texas Lutheran, TLU, Trinity, Centenary, Austin College, St. Thomas, Shriner. I think there's one more I'm forgetting. No, that's it.
When was is there like a perennial powerhouse?
Trinity and TLU. TLU lost in the national title series. They were runner-ups, I think, 2 years ago. Trinity won the national title in 2016. Centenary's been, I think, to like 1 or 2 regionals, but it's generally Trinity. They're generally the best ones year in and year out.
Yeah, okay. When was the last time you guys won a conference?
2002. The program, like from I want to say in the 70s till about 2002, there was one coach, and he was amazing. And like he had God knows how many conference championships, he never won a national title, but a runner-up a couple times, 3 or 4 big leaguers. Like it was, for small schools in Texas, like it was one of the best small schools in Texas to go play at. Like our head coach played at Trinity, and they were rivals, and he was like, "Yeah, I hated playing Southwestern." He's like, "They destroyed us." He's like, "They'd come in, throw up 18, show up the next day, just like, all right, like let's warm up. I'm not taking it too seriously," and then put up another 15. He's like, every arm was a pro arm. And then after that head coach retired, the program kind of took a downturn. Like wasn't as good. And D3 baseball as a whole kind of went down a little bit. And we took over 3 years ago. Our head coach came in, and I came in the same year he did. And last year was our first winning season since 2002. And so it was, just a steady rebuild going off of that. But, when you face, you go face Trinity, my first year at Southwestern, when we played them, their starter didn't throw a ball till the third inning of the game. And I'm coaching first base, like watching it, like, man, like this guy's shoving. And, he was 88, 92, but could move it, like good breaking ball, good changeup. And I go in about the third inning, and I'm like, I go to our head coach, I'm like, hey, like, has this guy thrown a ball yet? Like, he's been dicing. I mean, I was like, maybe he's thrown 24 pitches, maybe. And he goes, I don't know. So he texts the head coach for the other team, who's his best friend, and says, hey, how many balls has this guy thrown? He goes, none yet. He's 24 strikes, no balls. We're just like, oh, this is great. I think we only scored like 1 or 2 runs that weekend. It was like, yeah, we had a 1-run home. We had a solo bomb, and that was it. It was the most dominating pitching staff I'd seen in the 3 years I've been coaching at the D3 level, because the number 2 was a lefty. It was like 88, 92 with a plus banger. And then number 3 was like the big arm that couldn't throw strikes, but diced against us, and he touched like 94. And I think he's still in the Indians organization. He ended up being a free agent sign. But that was their number 3 guy. We're just watching it like, this isn't even fair, dude. Like you can't compete against this. So, I think 1 year, it was the year they won the national title. I think their 9-hole hit 410 with 9 home runs. Last year we had a guy that was a second or first team All-American, like dude, and he hit 380 with 9 home runs. And this team's 9-hole was that. So you're like, damn, okay, well, they're pretty good then. So Trinity's generally one of the better ones in our conference.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Those are some ridiculous. I mean, it's just crazy how D3 is transformed. I talked to the pitching coach where I coached and played at in Hamlin University in Minnesota, and they're starting to develop some upper 80s and 90-mile-an-hour guys. And it's like, dude, I don't know what the difference is going to be in 5-10 years between D3 and D1. I don't know how they're going to keep them apart, because kids are just going to know how to develop,
Yeah.
And it's going to
be. He even said it with 2 years right there. If you think about, if you really get a kid at D3 who understands a 3-year process, and you're at 80, if you're at 80 and Scott Lacey's your pitching coach, and we're not saying you're going to get 15, right? We're just saying that you're going to learn and increase. Like we don't know what your potential is. That's all based on the effort and the hard work that you put into it, right? But we got a guide, we got a dude, and hats off to you, man, because I know you're busy, and so the fact that you're busy, still able to program, stay in contact, it really shows that you care about the long term, about what's going on to the athletes. So, I mean, man, I've had some pitching coaches, a bunch of them in my career, in my life, but I don't think I've seen that level of dedication and understanding directly before. So hats off to you, buddy, because that guy's lucky.
Thanks. I mean, I was really lucky in that I had coaches growing up that they gave you everything they had every day. Like that was my understanding of what a coach does, is they just went full tilt, full bore all the time. And I know the 2 coaches that made the biggest difference on me, one was in high school. One was a football coach in high school, and then one was a assistant I had in college. They just believed in you. And it was just like every day nonstop. Like they gave you everything they have constantly. And I asked one of them, when I started getting into coaching, like, man, how do you do that? Because that's hard. Like, that's not easy to do. And he was like, you just have to be willing to just go above and beyond without any thought for you. It's like your role as a coach is to impact them and help them. Like your role is to help them be the best versions of themselves. So whatever you have to do that, like go overboard on it, like give everything you have on it. And it's not always going to work. Like it's going to work a lot of the times. A lot of times you're going to get the results, but it's not going to be right away. It's not always going to work. The impact is going to be a while before you see it, but you're going to see it. And like I said, I was really lucky. And then when I started coaching, I had people around me that's all they did. Like they just went full tilt, like full bore as hard as they can all the time. So I got lucky and I had really good examples on how to do it. And then, once again, I'm lucky in that at Southwestern, our head coach is extremely open, but at the same time, like he demands a lot. And when I came on as pitching coach, he pretty much gave me a template like, hey, this is what at schools I've been at before, this is what we've done. Oh, sorry, camera falling. This is what we've done. And, build off of it, use it. It's a good proven template. However you want to tweak it, go ahead, but it's all you. Like you go run away with it. And so I was given a lot of freedom and a lot of leeway to be able to, make decisions. Luckily enough, I've had really good athletes who've worked really, really hard and gotten better. So, you'll attest to this. Like, it's not us. Like, they're the ones that do the work. Like, I didn't throw a single pitch for that kid, but he's the one who's gone out, done all the hard work, done all the long toss, done all the stretching, done all the lifting. I've just been lucky enough to be able to provide him with a plan and an idea of a guide of like, go do this and let's see what happens. So,
and that's the fun part though, and that I think that you and I resonated on. Like, if you understand the game of baseball and like how becoming good at something really is formed, where you're actually going to practice this thing and train at it and work at it way more than you'll actually compete at it. Right.
Oh yeah.
Then if you, when you lean into that and understand what every day is like, that's just what the old school of baseball player, emphasize, we just didn't hear those stories because there wasn't the training mechanisms of like T work for pitchers, I feel like plyo care stuff is like T work for pitchers. And so, we were all taught to, the stories of big leaguers taking hundreds of swings and trying to be the best hitter and how much it is. But I never heard once a story about a pitcher making hundreds of throws and working on his curveball. And, I caught a little flack online for throwing a 55 pitch all slider bullpen, and multiple people reached out and were like, how'd your elbow feel? And I'm like, great. Feels great.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels fine. Yeah. And
so,
there's so many, and there's so many things like that where it's like, hey, I'll go to some of the guys and like, hey, you need to work on this pitch today. We're going to throw, we got a 35 pitch pen. 30 of them are going to be this pitch. Like, you need to find it and feel it and understand it. And same thing, I caught a little flack from that from a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, like, how else is he going to learn it? I don't have any other way for him to learn it other than, we can do short boxes. We can work on it on flat ground. We can use all these different balls and stuff. And you can do that. Yes. But the only way you get better at it is by doing it. So you need to throw it. And, luckily enough, that was this kid's best pitch this year. And so it's like, you just got to do it. But plyo care allows us to work on the mechanical parts. So that way, when we get on the mound, we don't have to work on mechanics as much as we can work more on the pitch. And so it's just using your training economy and using what you have to be able to maximize the time you have when you actually toe the rubber. And that's, like you said, like when I was in college, like we just threw a bullpen, and like that bullpen was like, that was it. Like that was pretty much your work day. So if you had a bad bullpen, like you suck. Like, great. There's no way, like, okay. It's like playing golf. Like you go, like you hit all these shots. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. All right, oh man. Okay. I can feel this. All right. Yeah. But then what, like, all right, I didn't hit golf balls the rest of the week. Oh, now I'm going to go play again. Oh yeah. What I did last time. Yeah. Let's go work. If you haven't done the work in between, like you're going to do the same exact thing. So pitching, like if you don't use those bullpens as like time to actually learn and test stuff and have a plan for like, all right, I'm going to throw 10 that go back door. I'm going to throw 10 that go front door. What will happen if I pull the seam a little here? Like what's going to happen if I go here? Like if I short stride, where's this going to go? If I go out of the slide step, and, working on it once isn't going to do it. So
I don't understand. So I had my coach, my freshman year, I pitched 6 2/3 innings. I had 11 Ks because my coach told me that I should only throw breaking balls, and I got really fucking good at it. And the thing is like what you're just saying is, why not? I don't know why this narrative got so weird at some point. Like We've talked about it a lot, so I don't want to like beat a dead horse for people that listen a lot, but
Right.
it seems so strange when we say things that seem so simple, right? Like, why wouldn't you just throw 30 changeups in a row if you want to work on it? I don't understand that. Why don't we throw, John brought up the idea of throwing like 50 to 60 pitch bullpens on purpose because, nobody ever prepares for the 30 to 40 pitch inning, but they do it,
Yeah.
and these things are just, I'm not quite so sure how we got so out of common sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how everybody had to do things a certain way, and it's just really weird. I don't know what else. I know this is this isn't a new conversation, but it's just
right.
It's messed up.
Well, and you get the thing of where everybody wants to learn 5, 6, 7, 8 pitches. Like you want to have a full arsenal so I can attack everything. And I thought that way as a pitcher. I was like, okay, well, I need to be able to throw this and then throw that and then throw that. And in reality, it's like all the best arms, all the guys I played with that were dudes, and all the guys I've coached that were dudes, they didn't have a 4 or 5 pitch mix that they could throw. Like that doesn't exist. Like if you were that good, you would be getting paid a lot of money, like a lot of money to pitch. And it's like, man, like we had a kid this last year that he was kind of working on a changeup, and I banged it, and he's like, why? I'm like, dude, when you come in the game, you're going to throw 90% curveballs. Like he throws this just huge 3,000 RPM banger. And I'm like, dude, you're going to throw curveballs. That's it. You're going to throw curveballs. And he's like, well, I think a changeup can get lefties out. I'm like, dude, a curveball is going to get lefties out. Like there's this magical rule that if it turns, they have to swing the bat. So like you'll throw it and yeah, it's coming into him, but it's turning. So, by the rules of D3, he's got to swing the bat. You're going to get him out. Furthermore, you're going to pitch 2 innings.
By the rules of D3.
Oh, dude, we got some good ones. If it turns, you must swing. You have to. If you get 2 quick outs, you got to like go 3-0 or 3-1 on the next guy. If you're up by a lot, it is in the rule book. You have to let the other team in the game. All right. So like you have to go like hit by pitch.
That's hilarious.
Walk, bleeder, double.
Dude,
all the team back in the game.
We are up by 10 and we're bringing in our closer every time. Every time.
Like
always let the team respond after a go-ahead inning.
So like I'll never forget this. We went up by like 8 one time, and I was like, hey, let's get this guy in. It'll be a good opportunity for him to get in. And our head coach turns and goes, no, I want so-and-so, who was our best reliever that year. And I'm like, why? We're up 8. Like we're up 8 or 9. Like what are we doing, dude? We got a touchdown lead here. Like get this kid his work in and we'll be good. And he was like, bro, if we bring that kid in, he's going to get an out. He'll hit a guy. He'll get a bleeder. He'll hit a double. And all of a sudden now this kid's got to make a stress pitch. So he's going to walk a guy. And then he's just going to throw a Broadway fastball because he's stressed out. And the dude's going to hit out of the park. And now our nice, comfy, 8-run lead is now 3. Yeah. And he's like, so, I
got 2 also.
Dude, I was actually guessing. I wasn't.
It's funny that you say that too, because I had and I remember being in winter ball, and there was a lefty all season that threw in front of me, and I finally had to go to the manager, just ask for, because there were all these situations where, 6th, 7th inning, I'd be first out of the pen righty, he'd be first out lefty, and finally I just went to him and I go, hey, can we look at my splits against lefties? Like, can I just start with a clean inning instead of runner on second and third? Yeah, runner on second and third, no outs, because that's real cool. That's real cool when you put me into that situation, and I feel like we can avoid this. Can we just avoid it?
Yeah, and it's funny. So we're just like, okay, cool. Let's just throw the best guy. Just win the game. Just win the game. Don't try to get cute. Don't try to develop. Just win the game, and then we'll develop later. And so for a lot of our pitchers, like, it's just, hey, let's maximize this one thing. And once you're really, really good at it, all right, great. Now let's add in a wrinkle to be able to get what you're struggling at. And everybody equates like, oh, well, you have to throw 60% fastballs. Well, aside from our 3 flamethrowers, aside from our dudes that absolutely fuzz it, the batting average against on fastballs were not good. Like the guys, like our three dudes that throw hard, their batting average against was under 100. Yeah, because one of them's touching 100, the other one hit 96, the other one hit 92. Like, they're not going to get hit. The other guys, yeah, they're, hitting 260, 270. So it's like, we're going to throw bangers because they're hitting under 100 against off speed. So we're just going to keep throwing it. And one of the guys, fought me on. He's like, well, I don't want to throw that many breaking balls. I was like, why? I'm like, it's a free pitch. And if they can't hit it, you might as well keep throwing it. Like, we're going to throw it until they hit it. And one of the dads for the players came, he's like, yeah, you guys threw a lot of breaking balls that game. I was like, yeah, it was our first complete game of the year. We only allowed one run unearned. He struck out 12. How about that? I was like, yeah, but like, you got to throw fastballs. I was like, heck no, I don't. He throws 84, buddy.
Oh, man.
Okay, listen to this. I've been saying, I said this the other day. This is my favorite way of saying it. Okay. There is not one kid in the entire world that gets on MLB The Show and just starts grooving fastballs away. Fastballs away. As soon as you do it, the dude sitting next to you is like, bro, what are you doing? It's like, I got to establish my fastball command. Well, I just hit 3 home runs, bro.
like, oh, man, but if I hit my spot, you're not hitting those. Yeah, they are. And that was the thing is,
dude, the spot argument is such a good one, too.
Oh, God.
There, man. I love going into this stuff with you, man, because like I said, you and I did this whole why are these, because we could title that conversation for an hour. I was like, why is this a thing? That was how you sum it up. Like, why is this a thing? Because you and I played at a different level, and Cass didn't spend as much time with you as I did, but I felt like all of the same questions that I had about like why we did these things that didn't make sense in the strategy of baseball, like, why I don't understand. This is not an effective strategy of how to make a pitcher better or win the game or whatever, and you can see it with the minor league data right now. Like they just said like sliders are up, or breaking balls are up 60%. And like now people are like, how are strikeouts up? And it's like, dude, Dominican guy told me a long time ago, straight ball goes far, like just straight up. And
not wrong. You can't blow fastballs by guys. You can't. Like there's going to be someone that can catch up to it no matter what. And we had a kid this year, good little lefty arm, like figuring stuff out, worked his butt off. First outing, first inning, he's like max efforting it. And we're just like, what are you doing? And he grabbed 91. You're like, sweet, like he's throwing hard. But the next inning, like, because he was trying so hard just to blow heaters by everybody, like he gets like walk, double. And then, didn't finish the inning. So his next outing, he goes out and we talk to him like, hey man, we're going to try to pitch more. Like it's cool that you hit 91. I'm pumped about it, but like, I need you to pitch. So his first inning, he gives up 1 unearned. And during that inning, we do a mound visit and our head coach is just getting pissed, and he hates pitchers to begin with. So he's like already going in like, I hate this kid. And now he's like, I want to murder this kid. And so he looks at me and he's like, you better take the visit, because if I take the visit, he's probably going to cry. I was like, I got it. So I go out there and
I got it.
Like our general thing is like, he's the bad cop. I have to play mom. I have to be like, baby, it's okay. Like, you're going to be fine. And so I finally just like lost it on him on the mound. I was like, dude, just please pitch. Just please. Like, just figure this out. So we get out of the inning, and the next half inning, we go in and sit down. I'm like, listen, man, we're going to throw a breaking ball this first at batter. And we're going to go breaking ball first pitch. Like, you might go 3-0 if you don't throw a breaking ball first strike. We're going to throw him 3 straight breaking balls and see what happens. He's like, all right. And then, like, our ace, luckily, the dude throws 100, walks over, and he's like, bro, you don't throw hard. Stop. And he's like, what do you mean? I hit 90 that inning. He goes, that's a sweet changeup. Stop. Like, no, throw breaking balls. So then he didn't throw a breaking ball in the first inning, and he finished, like, he threw a CG that game. I think we threw 80% curveballs, and that's not an exaggeration. Yeah. Like, we would go, breaking ball, ball. So it's 1-0. Okay, call it again. Boom, strike. And the hitters was like, oh, he threw a 1-0 breaking ball. So I'm like watching it, and I, as a former, like, I hit in pro ball, I'm like, okay, at some point, like by the 5th inning, you got to go, okay, this guy's only throwing bangers. Like, he's only throwing bangers. and they would just swing through it and swing through it and swing through it. I'm like, I'm just watching, just like I'm getting pissed off that they're swinging this. I'm like, dude, have a clue that we're only throwing breaking balls.
Exactly.
But it was his best outing. And he came in and he's like, I'm gonna start throwing more breaking balls. I was like, now you're learning. Now you're thinking. Thank you. And it's the whole idea of like, dude, if that's what you do really well, then do it. Like if that's what you are good at, do it until they adjust. Once they adjust, great. Now we can tinker. Now we can adjust. Now we can do this or that. But until then, like, do what you're best at. Like if you throw a hammer cutter, throw it all the time until they prove that, like, okay, they figured this out. Like that whole mindset of you need to be complete and you need to do this and establish fastball command early. It's like, no, establish what you're good at.
I will say, as much as I was crapping on the idea of what the NCAA does, it also put me in a mindset to think creatively like this. And I think that's what I really like about the D3 experience with me and at training. Like, I think we're basically the same person professionally, because that's what I was doing in Minnesota, coaching D3 baseball and running a private place like we do now. And you need, especially in Minnesota, you have to condense everything. You have to know what is the least things that I can do to get the most output, right? Yep. And I think like in Southern California, it seems like we're trying to like make the most money with the least amount of things that we have, and like that happens to be something that coincides with doing things the right way and doing things efficiently. You know what I mean? So I've been really attracted to how John has talked about sequencing. To simplify things, and that narrative that you just talked about. My head coach that I was working under, he always told me that the thing that he appreciated most about me as a young coach was one of the first things I said was, I think you should have 2 pitches, because I think the amount of things that you can do with 2 pitches is infinitely more than you think it is. Yeah. And, John has helped me do a better job of like giving them, because everybody wants actionable plans. Speaking of, ABCA, nobody wants to sit there and like abstract their own ideas. They want you like, here, do X, Y, Z, follow these 4 patterns, so but anyway, my narrative was always this. I didn't learn this until like 24, 25. So as a kid, I was always curveball. As my dad always encouraged me to mix it up. That's all he would tell me. Mix it up. Hey, you did a great job mixing it up today. That was it. Had a bunch of people try to shove fastballs down my throat. Like, it never worked. Catchers, coaches, if I could mix, I was good. I always needed to pitch backwards. So anyway, I finally had a catcher that would just like took me by the balls and told me exactly what I should do. And he was right. So I can literally throw fastball arm sides and curveballs for a strike all day long. Like not even like in on like just fastballs arm side the whole entire time, because what that does, that fast slow combination based on, and also because I'm pretty white with both of those pitches, right? I don't care if you're righty or lefty. It's hard because my breaking ball is awesome, right. and because I had great command with it, it didn't need to get more complicated than that. So I fucked around with a knuckleball because it's fun and it was amateur baseball. It's deep. Right. But also, like John and I have talked about how health has always been a thing for me. Also, I probably would have a changeup by now, just being in the game all the time. But at the same time, I've always been like, why? Because I have dealt with, I've faced some very good hitters as a D3 player. I've been in some very competitive games, and I can just throw, really simple sequences and just execute and just dominate people. Because like you said, I'm willing to throw 7 curveballs in a row, and then later in the game, I'll throw 9 fastballs in a row. Probably not, but like I'll throw 4 in a row.
Right. And it's like I faced a pitcher in college, and it pissed me off my senior year. He was a Puerto Rican lefty, and we recruited heavy in Puerto Rico. Like we had probably 7 to 8 Puerto Ricans on every team. So we go heater in, and I foul it straight back. I'm like, all right, I'm on this guy. And then I got 7 straight changeups. And I was so pissed after about the 3rd one. I'm like, all right, he's not going to throw it again. And I foul off. All right, he's not going to throw it again. Oh, it's a ball. I'm like, okay, he's definitely not throwing it now. Throws it again. Okay, it's like, I'm like 5 deep. I'm like, there's no way he's throwing it again. Throws again. And then finally gets me to fly out on it. And I was so pissed off. And I tried to fight myself not to do the dumb meathead thing. Oh, just throw me a fastball. And I get into the dugout, and I was just like, Roberto, like, why did you just throw me 7 straight changeups? Like, what? Like, come on, man, I'm fighting for a spot here. And he was like, Bobby, you weren't going to hit it. Like, you weren't going to hit it, and I'm throwing it. So, like, get lost. Like, sucks to suck, loser. Like, figure it out. Hit a changeup. And that mindset, like, dude, just throw it. Like, if you got something that's good, just throw it. Now, obviously, like, starter, reliever, like, yeah, there's, you want to save some for the end and have a different look a couple times through, because good hitters will adjust, right? But ultimately, man, if you're going out, like, throw your best stuff. Like, just get people out. That's the whole job of pitching, is to get people out. So, like, throw your stuff that's going to get people out.
The hitters will adjust thing. I want to jump into that. Cass and I have been into some sequencing ideas and stuff, and I haven't gone over this idea with you yet, but I think that there's a way to prepare a game plan in a simple manner, using option style offensive strategies like in basketball and football with pitching, where you can set up general ideas and understand where you are inside of a sequence and where you can go. To do this, I like to break it down into two things: fast and slow. Okay. And so the most common sequence for a young kid to learn normally would be fast, fast, slow, slow. So we do it in fours. There's 16 combinations of fast, slow between that, right? But if you look at pretty much everything, you can go back in generations and look, like Braves of the 90s, right? They were all down and away, banger, right? Exactly, right? And those are these common sequences, right? So what we've been doing is with some of our remote training clients and some of our kids before all this stuff happened, was we started introducing this to 9 and 10-year-olds, and they love it, right? Yeah. And so once you put these in their idea, once you put these ideas in their head, you can have them start learning what creativity is and making their own decisions on what pitches they want to throw based on how they learn about tunneling and what the options are, right? So the way I look at sequences they're like combinations and like boxing or Mortal Kombat or something from there, right? I'm going to hit you with, I'm going to go bang, 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 right? Whether it's your story of 7 changeups in a row, or I've got a story where I'm facing Marcus Lattimore, a very, very good hitter, and I throw him 12 cutters front door in a row, and he hit 12 mammo bombs out of the stadium foul in a row. And it was just, it's okay. That's what he did with that pitch. I threw it. That's his swing. He didn't make an adjustment, right? Yeah. After 13th pitch, slider out of that tunnel, boom, he's early. See you later, right? He finally was convinced that, and a good thing with my slider, I probably should have done it earlier in the at bat, right? Once I got him committed, but sometimes you just got to do stuff for the sake of doing it as a pitcher. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you just got to let it fly,
Exactly. Right. So, that being said, I feel like breaking it down fast, slow is the simplest, most easiest way to try to make yourself a difficult pitcher with a good plan. Have you heard of anything like this before, or and what do you think about it?
Yeah, so there's a guy this winter that has a facility up north in Austin, and I've known about him for years. Like, I've known of him for
what's his name?
10 years. His name's Keith Jackson. He runs Action Baseball, and I've known about him for years. Like, I've known who he is. I've met him once or twice, but nothing really crazy, just like in passing. Well, I did a winter camp with him this year, and we're breaking down like bullpens and like how we wanted to phase the bullpens. Like, first is like, get used to the slope, and the next one is, okay, now we're going to learn spin, and the next one is, okay, then we're going to do sequencing, and the last one is we're going to face pitchers or face hitters. And he's like, yeah, the sequences I like to do is like up down spin, up down spin, down up spin, in out change, out in spin. And so like he like broke it down on like how to use it, and he's like, yeah. And the way when he would coach, the way he would do it is he would just have them like listed. And he'd be like, all right, hey, like he'd look at the guy and be like, hey, do sequence 1. And so the catcher would be like, okay, fastball down, boom, all right, fastball up, boom, all right, breaking ball low. He's like, and they can go off of that. Like, if something works, like, yeah, switch to it. But you have those basic tunnels. And so the way he put it that way, I'd never like thought about it in that. Like, I thought about like, okay, yeah, you go in, you go out, and we go here. I want to do that, then this. And he was like, yeah, just go in, out, spin off, up, down, spin off. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I'm getting jacked up because I was going to tell my buddy, my Weston, the pitching coach, that's the cheat. Like, you can also, like, you just solved a bunch of sign problems too, because now you can sign in sequences.
Yep.
Like, it's
it speeds up the game. Oh my God. It speeds up the game too, right?
Right. And so then I went to him and I was like,
go ahead.
I was like, man, like, second time through, you can just alter the sequence. He goes, yep. Second time through, if we went down, up, then breaking ball. He's like, all right, second time through, then we go breaking ball, down, way off, up, back in, and then back to the breaking ball. He's like,
you're still playing the tunnels, but in different orders. Yes.
Right. And so he's like, there's infinite numbers of ways you can sequence within that based off who the hitter is.
And that's why we keep on bringing this up, because you're the first person that's actually had like, oh yeah, this is similar to another idea that we've had, because this is what completed my idea, that I was like, okay, if I just throw 2 pitches the whole entire time, like, and I was literal about it. I'm like, I'm literally trying to throw fastballs down and in and breaking balls wherever, knowing that I miss arm side, I miss up, I'll miss over the plate every now and then. But like, that was a good place for me to live, because I tended to have arm side misses like most of us. Right. And so if I stayed in, I wasn't fat. And so then my breaking shit went away from that. I was literally throwing, 2 pitches, not like the different locations, like 2 pitches. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that it never looked like that. And so with that, now it's like, okay, it probably shouldn't be that, because to John's point, it's like, and thinking back more critically, because I called pitches 2 with this idea, I probably fell into too much of just like an every other. I was just kind of a fast, slow guy.
Yeah.
So you'd look at me, you'd chart me, and it'd be like, oh, he went fast, change, fast, cutter, fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't necessarily falling into patterns, but I was falling into sequencing patterns, or fast, slow patterns, which is funny, because we didn't look for those, and it's so much simpler.
Right. And I know, like, when my first year calling pitches, and I'll never forget the moment too, and I know who was pitching, and like I can probably actually go pitch for pitch on what happened. But like, I'm calling, and at this time, like, I was really big into like sequence off the previous pitch, which as a general MO, you should, like, you can't go into an at-bat with like, okay, these are my 6 options, and like, I want to go this, and follow it like an NFL playbook. It's kind of based off the first pitch. So if you like throw a 30-foot slider, like, we're probably not going to go back to it that next pitch, generally with most guys, right? And so I'm calling, and like, we get this guy set up. It's 3-2, and I'm like, dude, oh man, this guy's cooked. We're going 3-2 slider right here. This guy's done. Call it, and we walk him. And our head coach like turns over and just blows up, and then looks at our catcher, who like had a really, like, him and I were on the same page, almost all the time, and he like was like, Colby, you got it, and like just like death stared me, and I was like, yep, point taken, put my stuff up, and just like wore it, like, all right, I gotta wear this, like, I messed this up. And later he was like, listen, man, you can't get cute, like, this isn't a guy you get cute with. He's throwing that breaking ball for 40% strikes. You can't do that with this guy. You can't set up to, he's like, you're thinking of it like a pro would. He's like, if you have a pro on the mound, he's going to execute that pitch, and that is 100% the right pitch to call. But that guy ain't a pro yet. Like, he ain't that good. Like, yeah, it was a tweener pitch, but like, he walked him. We just walked the leadoff batter. Like, good job. And I'm like,
that's a great example of what a real percentage of data would actually help, where people are confusing numbers the wrong way. Like, you're looking at spin rates of your slider, but what we should be looking at is the consistency of that slider that day. If you're 1 for 10 throwing the slider that day, it's not working. It's not working, right?
It
doesn't have to be the slider. It could be the arm side fastball. It could be the glove side fastball. It could be the changeup. It could be the cutter. It could be whatever they don't feel comfortable in that day. And I tell Cass all the time, about what if one of your pitches isn't working that day and you're a 2-pitch guy? Now what happens, right?
You got to adjust, right?
And it's also why I like fast, slow, and I'm not knocking the other idea of what you were talking about with the in or in out, but that's why I like fast, slow, is because, man, you always got fast, slow. You don't know where it's going, but something can be slower and something can be faster. and it just keeps. I like, I'm John knows I'm thinking a lot about this stuff. So when I'm like harping on, I like this idea, I like this simply, it's because it keeps on checking all of these boxes. Like it removes a lot of the fat. So I'm in love with this right now, and I'm in love with it because
it's cool because you can understand it real quickly too, right? Even you, Scott, right? So I'll just ask you a question, and your answer is going to be in four pitches. You have to answer in fast and slow, and I'm just going to put you in a situation, and I bet you know what to do because I know your baseball IQ, right?
Oh, this is gonna be tough. You're putting me
on
the spot. I'm not gonna.
No, it's okay. I promise you. So you're just going to answer. Yeah, damn it, Cass, you ruined it.
All right, so
it's okay.
Okay.
All right, ready? So second and third, no outs. What's your 4-pitch sequence?
Who's on the mound?
You are.
Who? Oh, I'm on the mound. I got second and third, no outs. I'm guessing it's a close game. Depends on what I got that day, but generally I'm just gonna throw sinker. I'm just gonna go like sinker out. If it's a righty, sinker, try to go back knee, and then sliders off of that. I'm just praying for a ground ball to third or short.
So fast, slow.
Yeah, generally. I'm trying to get contact until I get 2 strikes. Once I get 2 strikes, I'm trying to like not have contact.
Yeah. So what about the
fast, slow,
reliever brought into the game in the same situation? Second and third, no outs.
Spin immediately.
Slow, fast.
Yeah. So for me, like, I've got like a weird little thing that as a hitter, if I'm at bat and there's a reliever coming into the game, I'm getting a first pitch heater. So I would tell I would tell other hitters like, hey, this is your pitch. Like, send this. Like, sell the farm, let your hips fly. Like, I'm just go nuke. Like, and if that just means, a basic single for you because you're tiny, great. But go for it. Like, you're getting a heater. And so any reliever, like anytime I coach, the reliever comes in, first pitch, throws breaking ball. Every time, no matter what. I'm like, nope. Like, I'm going to go with it. And we did it, the one time we didn't do it last year, we gave up a hit. And then after that, like, I kid you not, every single reliever we brought in, first pitch they're throwing is their best breaking ball. Like, it was regardless of the swing path, regardless of nope, we're going breaking ball. And then if a pinch hitter, like, oh, they're bringing this guy in off the bench. Okay, pinch hitter. Okay, great, cool, yep, come in. Your first pitch, you're getting a breaking ball. Like, I don't, like, cool, hey, welcome to the game. Here you go, buddy. I'm not giving you a heater. You can't get comfortable. But
one of the other things that I like about the fast, slow part of it is how you can use it for scouting, right? So especially in college baseball, that team offensive strategies are a thing, right? You look at like Florida State, right? They're guaranteed take first pitch, first time through, guaranteed. Take first pitch, right? So we know these things that happen with hitters, right? As they get deeper into the count, right? And the more strikes they get, the more aggressive they get to quote unquote protect, right? So if you understand that, you could probably end up going fast, slow to start off and feel pretty comfortable about how you're going to go about the game. Because even if you throw a first pitch ball on your first fastball, you can come back and throw a breaking ball for a strike 1-0. And now you've got a pretty good plan. But also you can understand, like, maybe I need to change it up to slow, fast, or something of the point when you know that maybe the 3 holes aggressive first pitch, certain guys have green lights, right?
Yep. And that's a really good way. Cause like, I know with us, like I was saying, our first year, we weren't good. And so what was fun was we had to figure out any way we could manufacture offense. So we took like we probably, and our head coach laughed. He's like, he's like, you want to guess how many takes I gave in 2016 when we were the national champions and I had the best offense in the country? I was like, how many? He goes, none. You want to know how many I gave in one game? Like I coached third for 2 games because our third base coach was out of town. And without fail, first pitch, we're taking, boys. Like, we're better off if we take. And then, we get a guy on first, fake bunt. And our head coach is like me. Like, I hate bunting. I think it's stupid. Like, I absolutely abhor it. Like, I'd rather swing the bat, take my chances. Why not train good hitters? Well, they might miss. Well, they might also hit in the gap. So let's train to be good. And we'd fake bunt because, once again, it's in the rules. It's in the D3 rule book that if you fake bunt, they have to throw a ball. They have to. Now you're at a 1-0 count. And then if you do it again, you're probably going to get like a borderline pitch. So if it's 2-0, you're definitely getting your heater. Right? Great. We sucked at hitting. We know we're getting a fastball. We probably have a 20% chance of barreling it. That's better than the 10% chance we had of barreling it before. So double our odds. Let's go for it. Or if it's 1-1, most guys aren't confident enough to go like 1-1 spin. So they'll go 1-1 heater, and it's like, all right, great. Now we're in a count. We can get a barrel.
Exactly. Right. So you're exposing all of these offensive strategies, right? And that's where it's like, if you can figure it out. I distinctly remember throwing a CG in college and knowing that the team against us was take till you get a strike. So like intentionally slowing down to like first pitch two seams at like 81 to 82 miles an hour and just like, no big deal, just pour it in there, and then come back right after that with the hardest four seam that I could inside, and like and just blowing up hands because I knew that they were swinging. So, it's there's so many examples of that exact idea,
So I got.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay, so I think what we're talking about is the idea that it's so important to, as a coach, to create these abstractions for the kids so it makes the game simple. Okay, so when we look at, I think of like every single chart I've ever seen and every single whatever, my stat sheet, whatever it is, it's like you don't know, nobody's telling kids how to read that and tell a story. So like quit handing out those stat sheets and like tell them the story. Like you just have to tell them, like, okay, so I don't know if you know St. Thomas from Minnesota, but they're always every single year, right? And it's like I have faced so many St. Thomas pitchers that we're seeing 95% fastballs away. Like I don't know how, like, that's such a simple thing to do. And then like you could probably say that about our entire conference. Some of our best offensive teams at Hamlin were guys that were just like on the dish. And then so we would also lead the country in hit by pitches too. But like the difference is they were, I have to be careful here. Like it's just like we haven't had the success lately, but it's just like we had dudes that could handle that stuff. And then when the guys got thrown in, they kept their hands like this, it was like they knew how to just hit a ball that was basically middle because they were on top of the dish, and so simple strategies like that's sweet, but there it is. Okay, I just exposed an entire program's offensive strategy was to get up on the dish and be able to handle the ball that was in, because everything was going to be middle if it was a strike, and if they could handle the ball in, it was very smart. But all you had to do was throw off-speed pitches against us because they were never going to chase anything besides fast. They were just going to hit fastballs. So throw a fastball at their eyes, they'll hit it 400 feet. But that was it. And so it's just unfortunate because
I'm pretty sure that's the Pirates pitching philosophy too. Is like the entire organization's throwing inside. But no, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just recognizing the correlation. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
Just the last part is that we need to just expose the fact that if you simplify all these people, you have an entire conference that is extremely predictable, and you don't actually have to out-talent everybody. You can just get kids to play the game better than them. That's the game that nobody's playing.
Right, and when I look at it, like when I watch guys, like against certain teams, we'll throw a stupid amount of breaking balls. And against one team, like there's one team in our conference that they will foul everything off. Everything. Dude, we made so many quality pitches in 2 games, and I'm just like watching. I'm like that's a good pitch. It's a 2-2 slider off the black, and this guy just. It's just the worst, ugliest swing, and you're watching. And you're just like, and it's just annoying. And then you now run into a space where you've thrown it's a 9-pitch at bat. You're battling, and you try to make a pitch a little bit better, hangs up, gets ripped, and the guy gets hit. And you're just like, ugh. So there's certain teams like that when I would call against that, like I know, all right, they're gonna do like they swing down on the ball, like they're just gonna chop everything. Great. The 3 guys that are high spin against us, like that we have on our staff, all right, you guys, if you throw up, like you have to throw up, because if you miss middle up, that swing path, that barrel is gonna go right to it, and they're gonna absolutely piss rot it. And so, okay, against those guys, the 3 or 4 guys that throw heavy 2 seams and sink, like This is your shot, because they're going to beat it into the ground and or swing and miss on it, and we'll spin off of it. And it's like, all right, the other team in our conference just dips and rips. Like, they go for it. They generally hit 30, 40 nukes a year. Like, that's all they try to do. So it's like, okay, cool. Against them, yeah, let's go high shelf and spin. We played a team in the conference tournament last year that, like, literally the guy we started the game with, we were out of pitching at this point. The guy we started the game with was 5'9", 130 pounds. Have you guys ever seen the first Captain America?
Yeah.
So he was Steve Rogers before he got the serum. And that was a joke. We called him Steve Rogers. And he threw 82.
Steve A.
And
also baseball player thing.
Very much so. Great changeup. Decent little banger. And he threw 3 innings against, the number, I think they were 3 team in the nation. Went 3 innings, only gave up 1 run before we were just like, all right, we can't do it anymore. And their head coach came out during like a in between innings. We were giving them baseballs. He came out to talk about something, and he goes, "Are you gonna throw a fastball?" And I was like, "No, he doesn't have a fastball. Like, dude, like, all we threw you was spin." And he goes, "I know, we can't hit it. Like, give me something else." And it was just funny because against them, spin was great. They weren't gonna hit it, and if you made good pitches, like, they weren't gonna hit it. But if you try to groove in a heater, or you got a fastball count, and you just like, oh, here you go. Like, they were gonna hit it a mile. Like, one of their dudes played in the Cape for 2 straight years, and he hit a ball off one of our really good arms. And I still, to this day, give him crap about it. I'm like, bro, that ball's still going. Like, that ball's still in orbit. Like, that ball was nuked. And he's like, no, it wasn't that far. I'm like, bro, he hit it to the field house. Like, that's a 500-foot bomb. I was like, I know, like, I've given up those balls. Like, I know the distance traveled. Like, I've
I remember what that is. Yeah.
Yes, like, I know what it looks like, dude. And next time we face him, he didn't get a fastball. And the kid commented after the game, like, you guys didn't throw me another fastball. I was like, dude, the last fastball you threw is still in orbit. Like I'm pretty sure NASA got pissed because this ball went further than any rocket. And it's just like there's certain teams that you watch and you get a good scouting report and you're like, okay, we can beat them with this. And if you have something like that where you can go like soft, hard, and then just like you can mix and match just based off of, all right, if I know they're taken, great, I can baby one in. Right? Oh, if they're super, super aggressive, okay, I know I can, try to miss a little bit and like try to throw a bastard pitch first pitch and just let's see if I can miss a barrel. And so yeah.
Let me ask you this, because it sounds like you and I think the same. All of us think the same way, and like understanding, how your offensive strategy should that you're facing should really help you devise your pitching strategy for what goes into. Why is that not more of a conversation? Why aren't we talking about knowing what the offensive strategy as a player is, right? Especially in Major League Baseball, right? Because that's what the cookie cutter idea is to the max as a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kerry Lightenberg came out and said on the podcast that Leo Mazzoni wanted to master one sequence: fastball down and away, banger, right? Yeah. And then I distinctly remember that's all he did. Now, granted, the thing that I think people are missing on it is the arm side run on his fastball away. It looks like a ball to a big leaguer for a very long time, right? And then comes in last second and catches the corner, right?
Right.
And especially when you got great guys like Eddie Perez, Javi Lopez. They do an amazing job of keeping that spot.
Right.
Now, the slider that starts off over the plate actually simulates it. Looks like, oh, that fastball is going to start in a worse spot, and then it goes strike to ball. So, it always seems like knowing the plan and the specific ideas of what I'm seeing online is that I think that, to Cass's point, what he said earlier is like, we're trying to fix mechanics on things and conversations and we're not trying to apply it to win the game so much. Right. Obviously, if you have better mechanics, then you have more consistent pitches at whatever it is, whether you're a sinker guy, whether you're a split guy, slider, cutter, it doesn't matter, right? That's really what we're looking on. But the next phase of that is, how do you make yourself a significantly more difficult pitcher to hit? And you could see it in the World Series with Strasburg, you know?
Yeah.
I want to say he threw like,
I was just going to say these things are running alongside each other too. Like I feel like people feel like they have to be two different things, you know, especially at your level, at the D3 level, where it's like, it's the season. I don't want to like get in his ear. And it's like, bro, I get it. And you do have to win games, but there are so many ways that you can give people ways to continue to develop throughout the season and not be so careful, you know, and I'm curious about too, just like that part, being in the facility, knowing that side of it. I had so many people telling me, bro, you can't just stay in a facility because you got to get on the field. And I get what they were saying. But now that I did it, I'm like, bro, the people that think that that's two different things are the wrong ones. Like I don't know. I'm curious to.
You can. So we had a guy this year that he's a reliever in the Mariners organization, and elite ride. Like on Rapsodo, it's like generally he averages like 24 to 26 vertical break, which it's just, you know, it's 27 to 2,800 RPMs at 12 o'clock with no cut. It's just pure backspin. But the way he threw, he couldn't effectively throw a breaking ball. So, you know, he was an All-American reliever in college at a D1. Like he got drafted. I think he got drafted in like the 8th or 9th round. Dude, like he didn't allow an earned run his senior year. Like he was elite, and gets into pro ball and just gets banged around because he doesn't have a secondary offering. And he sends me video and we're talking, and I'm like, man, we got to fix some stuff mechanically. He's like, well, I want to add in like a good breaking ball that can compare off my fastball. I want to add in a changeup as well, you know, so I can attack lefties a little bit more, so my fastball has more value. I was like, all right, well, we got to fix what you're doing mechanically first. And he's like, yeah, well, I really just want to add these pitches. And I'm like, dog, like the way you move, it is physically impossible to throw a breaking ball. Because he was one of those guys that would like come super over the top, so you can never get on the front of the ball. So the whole offseason, it's just been, all right, we got to fix how you move. And then once you're in a consistent spot, now we can actually go, okay, cool. You can spin the front of a ball. Great. Let's find what shape works best. Let's figure out, you know, how do we need to grip it? And so it essentially was 3 months of relearning how to move, and then 2 months of we're going to throw this over and over and over again. And we had 3 bullpens where we tried every grip. We tried every thought and cue and idea to find what he has now for a slider, right? And it was just painstaking because like literally we tried everything. And in the room, like there's 2 to 3 big leaguers. There's and he lived with big leaguer. There's 10 different minor league guys. So everybody's standing around and like throwing in their 2 cents. And there's 2 guys that throw, you know, have big league sliders, and they're like, hey, this is what I think. Hey, this is what I feel. And it was just a bunch of experimenting. He found it, and then it's just throw it. Just get comfortable with the grip, get comfortable with the shape, know what it means. And then it's okay, we're going to put a batter in the box. And it's not just, hey, we're throwing a slider. Here's a 3. Let me throw it for a strike. It's like, no, like you need to finish this a ball off the block, or you need to finish this behind the plate, or you need to finish this at his front hip, right? And it was just over and over again, like, all right, we got to execute that pitch in that line, like over and over. Like, this is the line you got to work. And so it was a month of just figuring out, like, where he needed to throw with it to get it to move. And, you know, unfortunately with Corona, he wasn't able to go pitch in spring. Like, that sucks. And so he came back, and we've been expanding on it. He threw the other day, and it's like, dude, he was throwing a legit slider. And you're watching, you're like, that's good. You didn't have that last year. Like, that's elite. Like, his fastball is elite, that it's going to get him elite swings and misses. But now that he has a slider, like, that makes his fastball better, right? But none of that would have happened if he doesn't fix what he's doing mechanically. So when people say, like, oh, you can't make a ton of changes at, like, a facility, you got to be on the mound, I think you need to be on the mound to be able to see if it works, what it looks like, where it goes. And we're lucky enough, we have, you know, 4 or 5 pro hitters that they were the ones standing in. And we actively told them, like, one of them's, I mean, he got drafted in 2012, so he's, you know, 26, but got 400 or 500 at bats a year in minor league baseball. Like, he knows what he's looking for. It's been in big league spring training, and he's like, "Hey, nah, you tipped that early," or it's just like your body slows down, or like it doesn't look as comfortable, or like, "Hey, that was gross." Like, whatever you change there, like, do that more.
Well,
So to be able to have that feedback loop is huge.
Yeah. I think just what I'm saying is and maybe we just have different degrees on this. I don't know. But the idea that I don't think it's that hard to change movement in season. Like, if guys have postural issues, right? I'm not talking about an overhaul, right? Where a guy's like, okay, so that guy, I'm going to be like, hey, bro, like, here are your tendencies. Like, that's head going back way too soon. Okay, so the earlier you do that, the worse your throw is going to be. You just have to be aware of where your tendencies are. But I'm talking about, like, man, just like feeding into these tendencies. And if I'm going to like ask a guy to change his arm slot, it better be from like a very comfortable point of reference. So like, I have a kid who's, like you said, a third baseman, right? Him throwing sidearm isn't that freaking weird because he did it a million times. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so like, but if I've had a kid that's a PO the whole time and I'm changing his arm slot, that's just like a whole different ball game.
No reference.
Right, exactly. So anyway, I was just just thinking out loud of like, go ahead.
And like you said it earlier, you're careful not to try to make a huge change in season because they're obviously competing and they're trying to get guys out. And the last thing you want guys to do is on the mound think about an adjustment, right?
But I'm also willing to like dig in. Is what I'm trying to say is like John and I mean this, like, I'm so much more willing, especially seeing how assertive he is, to just be like all the time. Because that's what I appreciate about him is like, I don't care when it is. If I'm going to be coaching you nonstop. The hard part here is like, in all honesty, the D3 experience just doesn't allow this as much. You know what I mean? No. That's where it's like, it's such a tough battle. So anyway.
Yeah. And I know with one of our guys who like last year, ended up being all conference and, he had a good year as a pitcher. There was about midway point where he was striding out super, super far, like trying to get way down the mound, and like his breaking ball was not as good, and he was starting to get less and less sharp, and his outing started to get worse and worse and worse. So we had an outing where I literally told him in the pregame pen, he's going through his routine and his mindset, and during the bullpen, like right before we got on, I like went and just like drew a huge line, like, all right, in this pen, you're not allowed to stride past it. He's like, Scott, I'm trying to get ready to get people out. I'm like, all right, well, you're not going to get people out if you stride past that line. So if you keep it in front of that line, you can get people out. And he kind of looked at me sideways. I'm like, bro, you didn't get out of the fourth inning last game. And you got the loss, and it was a terrible game. So what have you got to lose? You're going to pitch next week no matter what. Like, I was like, dog, you get shelled in the first. Go look behind you. Who the hell in here is going to start over you? No one. Like, you're going to pitch. So shut up and just do it. And, this kid is awesome. And he just goes, all right, fine. And fine. Does it. Okay, that's starting to get better. Our catcher comes out, like, right before we go to go to the dugout, take field. And he's like, hey, like, it looks good. Like, it looks sharp. Like, I like how the ball's coming out. Like, let's go. And then goes and has a great outing, right? And his whole thing was like, all right, if I do this, I can pitch better. I was like, yeah, so just focus on that adjustment. Yeah, we're not going to do a major overhaul. Like, I didn't take him from, like, there to there. It was just like, hey, stride a foot shorter, stay on the rubber,
And I've had outings where I'm like, you know what, this is not working. First inning, I'm like, I'm up. I go literally like 12 inches farther. Like, no joke. I'm like 12, boom, down in the zone, just murdering the strike zone. It's like, I just okay. So here's just another idea in this vein. So like we've been talking with Randy Sullivan over the past 6 months, and then I have a Ron Wolfert background, and like I know that they like just like do the weirdest shit possible so your body knows what to handle. And I'm I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I was just sharing this with John in our remote stuff. I've gotten really creative, having kids purposely stride open and closed to create context. Is such a simple way. I used to do it in Minnesota. I had 4 mounds set up, and I use their idea of going, down and then like sideways and then up and then short, just really variable. But the thing that I like the most is I don't actually love the up, by the way, but the down and then on each side. So like toes on the one side, heels on the other side. I really like the ability to do it. And so a lot of kids that I see that are quad dominant, if I can get them, so righties, if I can get them to actually stride to first base dugout and then still throw a ball well to home, that whole feeling of them can't. And the act of trying gets them right into their glute, right on target. And then when they actually can, I'm like, hey, bro, now you're being an athlete. Do you realize that you can do this? And oh, by the way, that's what Greg Maddox used to do to get more sink on his two seam. If you want to be an athlete, maybe you can pitch a little bit better too. So, that's a little bit that's counter to some of the stories that I think of when I was playing. Was like, there was a Sports Illustrated article on how Doc Holliday had 3 different spots on the mound, right? His back foot, his front foot, and then where his back foot came around on the mound. And it's like, sweet, that's very much characteristic of his kind of work ethic and who he was as a pitcher. But like, bro, a lot of people are like all over the place and are just as filthy. You know what I mean? So
I know, like, one of the pro guys that we had this offseason, he came in and he was a guy that lefty that would stride across and then come around. And I mean, he's got big league time, electric stuff, but was just cutting all of his fastballs. And so he was killing all of his efficiency. And so I'm watching him move. I'm like, okay, well, like, he's like, yeah, if I can get behind it more, my efficiency would be better. And I was like, well, it's going to be tough to get behind it when you go quad dominant and immediately go left. Like, it's going to be really hard. Like, you have to be an elite mover to make that happen. Not saying it's impossible. Jake Arrieta would do it. Jared Weaver in his early years, like, his video would, like,
Worley. I mean, we're working with Vance right now. He was always
cross. And so I was like, why do you go cross? Just curious. And he's like, well, the organization I was with was really big on me trying to, be that and come across. I was like, all right, like, you're a good athlete. Like, you're a D1, pitcher. He's a second rounder. Like, you're a good athlete, but you ain't that good. Like it's not working. And so I had him do multiple ideas. I was like, all right, well, I need you to go in reference. I was like, I need you to go to the third base dugout with your butt. I was like, when you lift and get moving, like, take your butt to the third base dugout, this pitch. Like, all right. So we video it. And like, he thought like he went literally to third base and it was like right down the middle. And I was like, so what'd you feel there? He's like, oh man, I went so far over. I'm like, I turned the camera. I'm like, no, you went straight. And he's like, what? Like, yeah, you're so used to going so far this way that thinking going this way actually puts you straight. And so he was like, all right, well, let me go more. And then he actually got his hips open. I was like, all right, now try to go straight. And he would go like 3/4 off. I'm like, all right, now try to get over. And you go here. I'm like, okay, cool. Now go this way. And so it was just him messing with it. And the cool part is, and I'm sure you guys know it too, is with the higher level guys, once they get the concept and once they get the idea of what they're going to do, they're going to tweak it. And so they're like, hey, I'm going to try something real quick. They're like, all right, like, yeah, go ahead. And they'll mess with it. Like, okay, I was trying this. I'm like, oh, all right, well, here's my idea on top of that. You can go with this. And it's just really interesting that like people, like, because he was big on like, my foot's got to be in the same spot every single time. And he still is. He's like, if my foot's not here, this is a bad bullpen. I'm like, not necessarily, but okay. But that's like his thing. He's like, I got to be in the same spot on his foot plant. And I was like, okay, well, you got in that same spot every time, and it was a terrible spot. I was like, the 2 times you deviated to the right, like, they were great pitches. You actually got your hips open to throw. And so he ran with it and would mess with where his foot lands and would like base and then see the pitch and be like, okay, I got to be there, or I got to be here, or I got to be there. And it's so interesting. There's not one way that works. It's just letting them fill it out for themselves. I know I told John this story at ABCA. I got a pitcher that's in the Padres organization that like 6'7", big old dude, and it's just the easiest 95 you've ever seen in your life. Like it's like a warm cup of milk. It's just like, oh, 95, and you're like,
hey, but for the record, remember the name Adam Lucas. He's with the Royals right now. I can't imagine he won't make it, but he throws BP fastballs at 100.
Yeah, that's
it's unbelievable.
And this guy's going, and he's, like I said, he's 6'7". He strides all the way out, like halfway down the mound, and it's like 88, 89, 91. And I'm just watching. I'm like, hey man, can you try something for me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let's just like super stride short here. Just like go as short as you can. Let's just see what happens. So all right, fine. Does it? Wow. And he gets. He's like, man, that sucked. That was like 86. He like turns and looks, and then I turn the stalker around, and then Rapsodo pops up, and I was like, nah, bro, that was 95. He's like, that don't make no sense. Let me do it again. Wow. 96. And I'm just like, all right, well, don't stride as far. Like, just stay within your body. But then there's the other guy that was like, he needed to stride 12 inches more. And it was just, it's all about like kind of how the guy works athletically. And like, all right, well, we got to figure out what's really, really good. We got to figure out what's really, really bad. We got to, is it too much? Is it too little? Because how are you going to know what's just right? Like, it's the Goldilocks. How are you going to know the right porridge if you don't have too hot, too cold? Like, if you don't know, like, how to adjust either way, then you're wasting your time. Well, I only know this one pattern. Well, what if that one pattern doesn't work? Congratulations.
Well,
you suck.
And I do think, and this is just like this is kind of in response to where the industry's at, is everybody's talking about how everything needs to be so individualized. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And this is what we're talking about. This is where it becomes individualized in the communication, what you say and how you talk about it. But at the same time, it's all the same stuff. I'm like, you're human. You have two legs, you have two arms. Like, we have to understand that there's like, there's a degree of where you're at. And I think that, anyway, it's obvious that you know what the hell you're doing. So I'm going to go off on a whole nother tangent that's going to get us 20 minutes into this. And I have remote training that I'm going to be late to.
I was just about to say, we got to wrap this up. So Scott, this has been great.
By the way, Scott, I want to say one more thing to Scott, and then I'm going to shut up and leave you to close out, John. This has been awesome because I know that just me sending it to some of my Minnesota buddies, because the D3 community, I think, it's different, right? So it's awesome to have a representative like you who is doing a fantastic job. So thank you very much for making us look good, because D3 is a different world.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's a line in, I think it's a line in Harry Potter where he's like, man, he says something. He's like, that sounds so much cooler than it really is. He's like, yeah, I've been telling you that for years. So like everything you're saying about me, like, thank you so much. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bro, we still had a 5 ERA. Like, we were so bad. Like, I'm like, oh, thanks for the praise. And in my mind,
yeah, but your conference,
I'm bad talking myself.
Your conference and where you're at as a program. I mean, just to give you context, I won our conference championship my senior year in 2011. That was the schools. And by the way, we didn't win the conference. We won the conference championship. We were 2 16-4 teams, and we were 15-5. Best like 3 teams school history, first time in school history that our team had a championship. And it took my coach, that was his 12th year in the program. Like 12 years to get just a conference, just to be in a regional. Like, it's crazy. It's D3 is such a different world.
Well, and it's, I'm hypercritical of like me, and like when I work with athletes, like I'm super nice to a lot of them, and like we talk, but like I'm also like, I'm just realistic. Like, I'm just hypercritical. Like, if you throw a pitch and it's still a bad pitch, I'm like, that was pretty bad. Like, it was better, but like that's still that ain't it, dog. And
that ain't it, dog.
That ain't it, bro. And so, like, with us, like, I know there's 2 pitching coaches that like coach in our conference. They're gonna call me and be like, "Good, bruh. Like, we had a 3.3 ERA last year, and y'all had a 5.4. Like, y'all suck." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we also had 11 Ks per 9, and like did some things really well, and
relative, right?
Like 2 years ago, we had 2 guys that could grab a 90 occasionally. And, this year we had 3 dudes that hit 93 and then 6 dudes that hit 91. So it's like, all right, I guess it's relative. We're averaging 13.
It's real hard
We're also
to anybody, especially that's like into serious baseball, if they bring up ERA as like a thing, it's like, bro, there's like that stat is robbed more people than it's helped. Right. There's too many factors into it to evaluate a pitcher. It's not the correct way to evaluate a pitcher, ERA. Right. We understand that's the point. Is to not lever. Yeah, exactly. It's a way.
Like,
right.
I looked at it like, all right, the ERA is not good, but you know what? Our K per 9 is 13. It's pretty good. Our batting average against is 212. Like, I'm going to take that right now. Just tells me, we just give up too many free bases. But no, but thank you though, man. It's awesome that you give me the praise and the love like that. Thank you very much.
No, appreciate it. We'll do this again, and I'm sure we'll do one a little bit more based on movement because I know Cass would like that, and I know he'd love to go into some WEC method stuff. So we'll get you on the books again, and we'll see what we can do.
I will say the open close thing, just talking about joints and simplifying it to open closing joints, I think is
right
where it's an interesting conversation of where my head's at and where the conversation is going at Cutternation. So anyway,
yeah, man,
I just posted about it. So
awesome. I'll check it out. I'll be down to do this again and actually get into that side of it,
Definitely. All right, Scott, I appreciate it. Guys, go follow him if you need a place to play in Austin, Texas, D3. He's your guy. So we will do our best to send more like-minded individuals your way because I imagine that people in that area could really use some education from you. So great job. Thank you again, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me. Loved it. I know anyone I have in SoCal that I know that I'm like, hey, you got to go check these guys out. So
yeah, you sent us a guy too, and we told him we'll let him know as soon as we can get back open, which we have no idea when that's going to be. So, all right.
Yeah, whenever.
All right, man. Good to meet you, Scott. We appreciate you.
We'll see you.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.